Thank you all for being here. This is our 5th annual Veterans Day rally and casket demonstration, except for last year. Obviously, we had a year of COVID, so we didn't do one last year. There are a lot of new faces in the crowd. I appreciate some of you coming from far away, different states even. Thank you for being here. We're here to celebrate our veteran brothers and sisters on this Veterans Day. But we're also here to bring about awareness to the fact that 22 veterans commit suicide every single day. And this is a very sad statistic, and it represents the highest demographic of suicides across the board in this country. An analysis done in 2013 found a suicide rate among veterans of about 30 per 100,000 population per year, compared with the civilian rate of 14 per 100,000. That is more than double the civilian rate. Veterans make up a very small percentage of people in this country, yet they're the highest rate of overdoses, mental illnesses, and being overprescribed and underhelped by the VA medical system. We are here to help urge the federal government, the state of Georgia, and the VA medical system to change their ways and learn and educate themselves on what cannabis can do to save our veterans. So thank you again for being here to this very important event. And I do want to thank all the partners that I have with One Plant and the donors that have been so gracious enough to donate their time and money to this cause. This all started with Veterans for Cannabis, as you can see behind me. Joshua Littrell is my brother in arms, and he started this back in 2016 with a casket demonstration when we went inside the Gold Dome in the Rotunda and had media there and patients, and it was an amazing event, and it made me want to continue to do this. And every year since, we've done this right here at the Golden Drops Cafe, thanks to Victor Ramirez, my good buddy, the owner. So once again, if you're a veteran, drinks are on me. Help yourself. Just put it on the veteran tab. I also want to thank, obviously, Veterans for Cannabis, but I want to thank my buddy Lance Ziegler at Club 20 After. He's got the rolling papers back there. There are some products on that back table that you guys can help yourselves to. There's some CBD gum, the rolling papers, and some other stuff back there. Thank you to Dr. Felicia Dawson for her contribution to this event. She's a cannabis advocate, educator, and consultant, and you can find her at www.drfelicia.com. That's F-E-L-E-C-I-A. Thanks to Jessica Robinson and her husband Jay, who aren't here yet, but they're with the Trinity Hemp Company, and they'll be bringing some goodies for everybody to sample here in just a little bit. And also a huge thank you to the Georgia Hemp Company back there. You guys check them out. They have been a partner with me for the last few years. They've donated lots of products to our veterans. In years past, we've given away bags to veterans in attendance, and they've been awesome. And thank you for being here. And also Tiffany Turner, who made a donation, but she's not here today, but I did want to mention her. Thank you. Right now, I would like to take a moment just to remember our dear friend, Kelly Hammock. Kelly has been a part of this event since the beginning. He's always here with his smiling face and his camera, and all of the pictures that you see of the event on social media, most of those were taken by him over the years. And he is also a Army veteran and has been a part of this event forever. And so if you would, just take a moment with me and let's have a moment of silence. Thank you. And last but not least, I want to thank Peachtree Normal, who has been also a part of this event since the very beginning. They are an integral piece of changing these laws in the state of Georgia, and I'd like to give it up to Mr. Ryan Ralston, who is a Navy veteran, and he is the executive director of Peachtree Normal. So if you would come up here, Mr. Ralston.
Got it. Kind of feel formal when I call him Mr. Wilson. He's kind of back there blushing. So for those of you who don't know really about Peachtree Normal, so we are Georgia's statewide affiliate chapter for Normal, which is the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana. So we've been up and running as Peachtree Normal for over a decade now, and I have the privilege of currently serving as its executive director. I can't say enough good things about those who have come before us and who have opened the door for someone like myself to be here. I've worked behind the scenes within criminal justice reform now for almost a decade. And when I was approached about leading Peachtree Normal, I was actually humbled that someone like myself, who was kind of someone from the outside of the community, was welcomed in by my beautiful brothers and sisters and folks here today. So I really like to thank James for the opportunity to be here. And like he said, I am a veteran, so events like this are near and dear to my heart. I served in the Navy for 6 years. I worked in their advanced electronics and intelligence field, so I was fortunate enough to spend the first 2 years as a student, and then spent 4 years deployed overseas. I'm a plank owner of USS Gonzales, DDG-66. And the time that I was able to serve my country honorably, and my brothers and sisters that I'm still friends with today, is something that I'll forever cherish, and having that opportunity to do. So some of the things that I was able to see, some of the friendships that I was able to forge, have carried lifelong bonds. I served from '94 to 2000. We moved back here. I'm actually from Decatur. My wife and I moved back here in 2000, and went to work for an engineering company in Marietta, and was like, I was kind of happy. I kept thinking about my brothers and sisters and arms of brothers and sisters that I served in the military. 2001, September 11th happened. I was in Pennsylvania for work, and me and a couple of the co-workers, we were driving back home to Atlanta. Obviously, the airports were shut down. And for the first time in my life, I looked up into the sky, and there was not an airplane. There was nothing to see but the stars, and I was traveling through West Virginia. I looked up, and I knew from that point forward that my life was probably forever changed. I could just look up there in the absence of the airplanes in the sky, and I just knew. And so, thinking back on what I've been able to do to help my brothers and sisters who stayed on after me after I was discharged from the Navy, and who made a career of it, I still travel the country to visit them every chance I get. We had our 20-year commissioning reunion for Gonzales a couple of years ago. Drove up to Virginia, was able to spend a day with some of the fellow plank owners, and it's like, even though we hadn't seen each other for 10 or 15 years, we immediately got together and barbecuing, having a good time, cutting up, and it was, the camaraderie was there. It's like we hadn't even really stopped. And so that's what the message that I want to bring about today for our veterans is that, the camaraderie that I experience here, the camaraderie that I have within the cannabis community, those who are fighting so hard to end the tragedy that is prohibition here in Georgia, is cannabis. A same esprit de corps is there. The same sense of brotherhood and sisterhood, a sense of family within this community is parallel to what I experienced in the military. And for example, and I know I don't know her, and I'm going to call her out, Corey Lowe. I've not met her in person. She and I are friends on Facebook, but I follow her daughter's story, and I follow what Calls for Princess has done. And I had to go back and kind of educate myself, because there is the legend of Corey Lowe around the cannabis community, so I had to figure out who she was. I befriended her on Facebook. And anyways, to make a long story short, I had to go back and read about some of the things that she was doing on behalf of her daughter, and the fight that she brought to the Georgia legislature. I don't know if I could fill someone's shoes like that. I don't know if I'm capable of doing what she was doing, all on behalf of her daughter. And if you are on social media, if you're on Facebook, if you can check out something like Calls for Princess and Corey's story that she shares so openly on a daily basis with tens of thousands of strangers, and it's absolutely humbling to see that. It absolutely touches my heart. And when I saw her here today, I was so excited, even though I've not met her in person, but I was like, I've at least got to explain to you guys that what she's doing. So if y'all don't know, my friend Tom McCain kind of introduced me to Corey and her story. And so I really just wanted to call her out and put her on the spot and embarrass her this morning. But it's for mothers like her that we fight, and it's for her daughter that we continue to do these things. And I couldn't get through the morning, without saying thank you for what you've done. Decades before I got involved in this movement, there was Corey Lowe. So really and truly, she's. And so, back to the VA's issue. So, I've been out of the military for 20 plus years, and my experience thus far that I've had with the VA has been not so promising. And so, to being able to draw attention to those who have been neglected by our own government for far too long. We all know the medicinal value of cannabis. It's me preaching to the choir if I said something to really speak about that. But to have a core group of men and women who dedicate their lives to service to this country not have access to cannabis and the benefits that it brings to the individual. I can go to the VA. I've got 4 herniated discs. I could go to the VA right now and they take an X-ray in the back, MRI, and without question, I could get all the Oxycontin, hydrocodone, any of the narcotics that I need because I say I'm in pain. They're going to give it to me, but I can't have a conversation with my doctor about cannabis. And you got to ask yourself why. If 22 veterans a day are choosing to take their own life, 22 veterans a day. And some of that is directly related back to the opioid crisis and the fact that these patients, they cannot have these conversations with their doctors lawfully, right, after serving their country, is abhorrent. And so we're going to continue to fight. Peace and is going to continue to fight until we can end prohibition against cannabis. No one should be caged for doing nothing more than possessing the leaves of a plant. To me, it's all medicine. No matter how you choose to take it, why you choose to take it, it's all medicinal. But to deny someone, to deny an individual, any individual, regardless of social stature, but to deny them that opportunity, to deny them that basic fundamental right to self-care is frustrating to see. It's frustrating to see. It's 2021. We have a better understanding of our own bodies, we have a better understanding of our own government, and yet we can't petition them to have these conversations. It wasn't 5 or 6 years ago, if we knocked on someone's door and said, hey, we're at Peachtree Normal, the door would be shut in our face. And so right now, we're able to open those doors, and we're not faced with so much ridicule or self-judgment. It's the stigma we've been beaten down for over a decade here in Georgia. And so I think the time is right for us to reach out to our elected officials and say, hey, look, if you approach this the way we're looking at it holistically, if you approach this the way we're looking at it, it's not just a matter of saying, okay, we're going to decriminalize cannabis or we're going to legalize cannabis. You have to look at the big picture. You have to look at those who have been neglected for years and years and years. Groups like the veterans, groups like patients who are in long-term care facilities and hospice facilities who do not have access to this medicine. But my God, if they want a prescription for a narcotic, they can get it just by like that. And so these patients have been neglected. The veterans have been neglected. Those communities who have been the most harmed by prohibition against cannabis are the same ones who, year after year, time after time, draw attention to these issues with their elected officials, and they haven't fallen on deaf ears. And so I would just like for everyone to take a look around and where we're at today and what we have right now, the different walks of life, right? And then you can look at the commonality that you see between all of us. You can look at, you can find the humanity in what we're trying to do. If you cannot walk away from this event today without being touched, without seeing the love, without understanding what we're trying to do, the days of us walking around with a free the weed posters and your stereotypical, stoners or whatever the case may be. They blazed that trail, and they opened the door for us, for the folks that are here today to do this. And I'm really proud to say that I've come behind some wonderful people, and I've inherited a fantastic organization. But really and truly, I'm more proud of the fact that I can look out here and have a room full of friends now, people that I can trust, people that I can talk to, and that are all here rallying for the cause. So I appreciate that. I appreciate James. I appreciate your willingness to be here today and to really and truly turn it back over to what's most important, and that's the veterans. Thank you so much. You guys have a great day.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks a whole lot. That's why I leave it to the folks who can speak. Good job. Speaking of people who can speak, next up is the former gubernatorial candidate for the Libertarian Party here in Georgia. He's also a Navy veteran, Mr. Ted Metz.
Thank you, James. And thank you, Aviva, for helping get this event kicked off all those years ago. Yes, my name is Ted Metz. Everybody knows me, right? Anybody here that doesn't know me knows me now. I served in the Navy from 1979 until 1986. I was an aviation fire control technician. If anyone knows what that is, that's the guy that tweaks all of the armament on the aircraft so that the pilot can deliver his weapons on target. So it was a very important job in my opinion. Anyway, I served, was not during wartime, which was kind of interesting. I got in like after Vietnam and before all of the stuff that happened in the Middle East. And do we have Middle East veterans here? Raise your hand if you served in Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan. And as everyone knows, the last time the United States actually declared war was World War II. And every war since then has just really been a gravy train for the military-industrial complex. And the people that have been sacrificed are all of the veterans. And if you're in the veteran healthcare system, I feel for you heavily. Because the veterans healthcare system basically is an arm of the pharmaceutical corporations pumping you full of drugs that do nothing more than make you zombies and slow death. So one of the things that I am a huge supporter of Peachtree Normal. I'm a huge supporter of Veterans for Cannabis. I think cannabis should be as free and unencumbered as tomatoes and cucumbers. I think people that don't use some sort of marijuana or cannabis in any form is depriving themselves of good health. Because the thing that the doctors are not taught in medical school is nutrition. They're not taught the endocannabinoid system. They're not taught a lot of things. In fact, they're like only a couple of steps beyond bloodletting and leeches. Let's be honest about that. And when you read articles about, oh, well, we can't use marijuana because it's not a traditional medicine, I just want to gag, because it's been a traditional medicine for over 10,000 years that we can prove. So one thing that I think that we really need to understand here, that this is America. We are a constitutional republic. No matter how many legislators or candidates are saying, oh, we got a democracy, we got to protect our democracy, blah, blah, blah. That also makes me gag. Because it's not a democracy, it's a republic. It's a nation of laws. And if you've been following anything that's been going on lately, the federal government is so far outside of their constitutional constraints that we as veterans who swore an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the laws thereof, we need to be sounding off. We really do need to be standing up in arms, angry that we're no longer following the Constitution. The administration that's currently seated in the White House is there to install communism. Let's call it what it is. It's communism. If you look around and see what the news media is doing to us and big tech is doing to us, it's all propaganda designed to brainwash us. We really are suffering something known as mass hypnosis. You can turn on any channel and they're reading out the same script. You hear it over and over again. Some BS that's not true. When Jen Psaki is up on the stage saying, well, yeah, we have the constitutional authority to do such and such. No, they don't. None of the news media calls them out, except for independent media. And independent media is so controlled by big tech that you can't find the stories of the truth anymore. We really need to do something. This is like the end times. If we don't stand up and start shouting out that we are a constitutional republic, and that Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 constrains the power of the federal government to the confines of the District of Columbia, that's what we need to do, is shove the federal government back in their constitutional box. They do not have any authority over the states. The states formed the Union. The states are in control of the federal government, not the other way around. And the more we stand up to it, the more we let them push us around, the more of our freedom they're going to take. And they have taken a lot. Who wants to have these vaccine mandates? No show of hands? Can we get a show of hands for people who actually trust Big Pharma and what they claim is a vaccine? You can, if you use a different, I'm sorry, I'm getting a message. If you know how to use a search engine other than the mainstream search engines, you can actually find actual scientists talking about the way that our human genome is being modified. Here's the deal. The spike protein is the poison. If you're getting injected with spike proteins or an mRNA, which has your own cells produce spike proteins, let me tell you, you're in for a miserable, long-term death. Because that's what it is. This is all about Agenda 21, Agenda 2030. They're trying to depopulate us. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about military strategy. Some of you guys, we're actually veterans. Some of you actually understand a little bit about military strategy. Everything that the federal government has been doing, they learned from the Romans. How to divide and conquer and use fear to control. We have never been more divided right now than ever in our history. And the mainstream media and the government is propagandizing us. The NDAA of 2012 basically eclipsed the Smith-Mundt Act, which was the prohibition on domestic spread of propaganda. And now almost everything you hear on the radio, everything you see on TV is propaganda. They are mass hypnotizing us to the point where something that's a psychological thing called not mass hysteria, just mass formation. They're working on mass formation. And mass formation basically is that if they get 30% of the population to think a certain way, like, communism is good, equity is equality of outcome, not equality of opportunity. Critical race theory, all this stuff is about getting 30% of the population fomented to believe a set of false beliefs. So once 30% believe all that, they have influence over the 40% who wants to just get along. The other 30% usually doesn't do anything at all except sit back and wait for things to happen. And you can see this in every election we've had in the last 20 years. 60% of the population votes, 30% for Team Red, 30% for Team Blue, 40% stay home. So if we can motivate the 40% to stay home and actually get candidates who understand the Constitution and want to defend the Constitution and uphold their oath of office, that's what we need. We need to stop choosing teams and start choosing men of character who actually want to be servants to the people. I hear people saying, oh, well, we need new leadership, we need new leaders. We don't need leaders, we need representatives. We need people up there who are not afraid to stand up for what people actually need, want, and under the constitutional authority that they have to govern properly. We don't have government. We have a gulag system now, where we have people up in Washington doing whatever they want to enrich themselves, their families, and their fraternity and sorority brothers and sisters. It's really getting ridiculous. And we have to put a stop to it. And the way to do that is to communicate, talk to your neighbor. Why do you think they did all these lockdowns? To keep people from gathering and actually discussing the real issues. If you talk to your neighbor, you'll find out that a lot of the things that you're being told by the media is absolute BS. Do I have an agreement with that? A lot of what we're getting right now is BS. And we can put a stop to it by withdrawing our support. I hear a lot of pundits, from especially the right side of politics saying, oh, we need to start practicing civil disobedience. I got a word for you, obedience. Obedience is for slaves. They want a nation of slaves that are doing what they're told. We are not slaves. Instead of civil disobedience, what we need to do is start withdrawing our consent. The consent of the governed, right? We need to withdraw our consent and start practicing non-compliance. Peaceful non-compliance is what we need to be doing right now. So one of the things that a lot of people say, oh yeah, if you just vote different, but they say that we have the soap box, the ballot box, and the cartridge box. We're moving ever closer to the cartridge box because the ballot box doesn't seem to be working because of the electronic voting systems, which are manipulatable, hackable, and you don't really know how you voted. You don't know how your vote is being counted because your vote is not being counted. Your vote is maybe looks like it's on a piece of paper, goes into the computer, then somebody with a thumb drive takes the thumb drive somewhere else. You have no idea what thumb drive they're actually loading to upload the information. And then the information has all kinds of ways to go in and manipulate the information, so you really don't know who voted. They've been doing this ever since we've had the Dominion direct recording machines in Georgia. The Diebold system. They replaced it with something that's even worse. Last September 2020, Judge Totenberg here in the Northern District of Georgia for the federal courts ruled that the electronic voting systems are not compliant with Georgia law and they are unconstitutional. But it was so close to the election we couldn't do anything about it. So for the last 7 years I've been at the legislature fighting for a fair, free, open, transparent voting system, which we still haven't got, but I'm still fighting for it. I'm actually running for Secretary of State of Georgia, and my campaign platform is paper ballots. We need hand-marked paper ballots because that way you actually have physical evidence, a chain of custody, physical evidence, and you have a lot less ability to manipulate the vote count. Because when it comes down to it, if you audit the electronic vote, which is what happens every time, oh yeah, we just recounted what was in the computer system and it came with the same numbers. That's not the way to do it, because you don't really know what the paper ballot, what the voter intent was. So that's where I'm at right now, is we're going to fight for actual transparent elections. And voter ID, anybody here opposed to voter ID? Over 70% of the Latino community favors voter ID. Over 75% of the black community favors voter ID. You got to have an ID to buy cigarettes, booze, or cough syrup. What's the big deal? Nobody can't get an ID. All this ACLU rhetoric that they talk about not being able to get an ID is nothing more than propaganda. We have so much propaganda everywhere. We need to end the propaganda. We need to have free and fair elections, and we need to have more people talking about the fact that we are a constitutional republic, and we need to get rid of the people who say one thing to get elected and do the opposite when they're in office. So that's about all I have to say for today. Thank you for your service. Thank you for being here. And good health and be well.
Thank you, Ted. I told you he could talk. So next up, I'd like to introduce the candidate for Congress in Georgia's 7th District, Mr. YG Nightstorm. Come on up, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Now, if you don't mind, honestly, every time before I speak, I like to pray. Is that all right? Okay, so can everyone please, if you can, please stand to your feet. Because we got to do this right. Is everybody ready? Let's bow our heads, please. Father God, we humbly come to your throne of grace and mercy. First, as always, saying thank you. Thank you for fellowship. But right now, Father, we are saying thank you for courage and understanding. For right now, we are in those dark days that you have told us about. This is not a stranger to the people of faith. We've been knowing this for decades, that these days would come. And you have fashioned your children to be ready to stand in these dark times and illuminate your light by speaking your word over this country. Now we ask, Father, for more courage. We ask, Father, for more understanding of others who are still asleep, who got their eyes closed, and also willfully ignorant, who don't want to see because they're scared. We ask for that courage so we can help them and help them get over that fear. Because honestly, if we believe in you, you are the author of the book of life. There is no need to be scared of other characters on a page. So we say thank you, we love you. Now let YG be quiet and let you speak to your people. And all of God's children said, amen. Okay, you can go ahead and take your seat. All right, so let's get this work. My name is YG Nightstorm, and I am running for Congress in the 7th District of Georgia. That is out in Forsyth County, Gwinnett County, as far as how the district lines are drawn right now. But that's not who I am, and that's not what I'm about today. I'm not about the politics today. We're about talking about our veterans, and personally, my father was in the Army. My father served. My father passed away in 2007, Lord rest his soul. My youngest son, I'm a father of 7 adult children. Oldest is 33, youngest is 21, and please tell me I don't look old because my kids all say it because I lost my hair. But my youngest son was in the military. My younger brother was in the military. And also I have been able to work with a lot of military soldiers because I am in protective security. I've done private bodyguarding for celebrities, CEOs, very, very rich people with more money than sense, always making an enemy out of folks they don't need to be making enemies with. And they ain't shooting at those folks, they're normally shooting at me. So when I say I understand why some veterans need certain things. Now let's take you back to 1992, because in 1992 I was actually homeless and sleeping on the streets of Atlanta at 18 years old. And that was my first direct contact with a veteran. Now I consider it a shame because the first time I really met a veteran outside of my family, he was homeless just like me. A lot of our veterans come home after serving and are homeless. But you said an interesting number earlier, 22. 22 per day. Now let's add that up to 365. That's over 8,030 brave men and women who have sacrificed everything for this country. Then gone through hell and back, then seen hell and back, and come home and take their lives. Home is where they're supposed to feel safe. Home is where they're supposed to be able to get that help that they need. But unfortunately, the way how our current system is, it demonizes healthy alternatives to pharmaceuticals. Am I right or wrong? Now this touches me personally because those are big numbers, 8,030, but I'm concerned right now with one. I had a friend of mine who was in the personal protective business with me. We worked together for many years, and he was in special service, secret service, and all this other stuff he was doing in military around the world. And let's just say he went and served, and he came home and he was not okay. He was dealing with issues of seeing people literally beheaded in Iraq. He was dealing with seeing children being burned in their homes. He was seeing children and women and other people literally dead on the streets. These are some of the things that our soldiers see, and they are expected to come home and be reacclimated back into normal society as if nothing happened. Now, I'm going to be very real with you. Like I said, yeah, I'm running for Congress and all this stuff. Let's put this politics stuff aside and let's have a real conversation about us. Our soldiers need help. Period.
Amen.
And unfortunately, I don't care what mainstream media say, and I think it's a damn shame that no other candidates are out here to talk to you. Because it's one thing to be on the golf course and talking to rich people in the suburbs. It's another thing to be in these communities and talking to people and asking, what is going on? What do you need? Tell me what is happening. And then it's another thing to actually care. Now, getting back to my friend, he came home, and after seeing all these things, he said, YG, I don't think I'm okay. My doctor has me on all these prescription drugs and this side effect. I got to take this medicine to take care of this side effect, and I got to take this drug to take care of this side effect, and I got to take this drug to take care of this side effect. And what was happening is that he was becoming steadily more aggressive to the point where his wife and his children were in fear of being in the same home as him. Now, I'm a big dude. I'm 6'2", 280 pounds. He's a bigger man of 6'5", 340. Now imagine a 6'5", 340 man who has been trained to kill people at home, unstable with his family, because he's on this drug, this drug, this drug, this drug. A total of 6 prescription medications. And he was out of whack. So I will end this by saying, I got a phone call at 3 a.m. one night, and it was his wife saying, help. I said, I'm on the way. I went to go talk to him, and let's just say we tussled a little bit. Let's just say that. Now you imagine these two big old dudes, it was like WWE up in there. I said, bruh, you ain't finna leave this house. YG, get out my way. I said, bruh, nah, bruh. If we gonna do this, we're going to do this. I took my gun off, took my coat off, and I said, we finna go. Because right now, you need help. So, to really further explain this, once he decided to try to attack me, and once I was able to get him down, of course, now police are called. And we also know there's plenty of veterans who are getting locked up like crazy because of these side effects, because of these behavior issues that they are suffering, and they can't get help. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, they can't really get help at the VA. We're being real with it, okay? We having a real conversation now. You ain't talking to a politician, you're talking to a brother, a man who has suffered right along with you and seen this darkness. He couldn't get the help he needed, and unfortunately, 3 years ago, he took his life. 8,030. He's a part of that each year. Now, some politicians are afraid to talk about stuff like this because they say, oh, it's going to mess us up with our donors, or it's going to mess us up, it's going to mess up our reputation. How about this? Stop being so worried about what donors think and get out here with the people and see what the people need. Because if you are going to run for Congress, Senate, City Council, President, or anything, you are to serve the people, not the people serve you. Period. You can't be scared. And you got to be willing to take those risks and speak on issues, because if you're going to say, brother, I'm going to be your voice, sister, I'm going to speak for you, then you better do it. And if they don't, hold them accountable. Now, I also have children, like I said, and very close family members who have gotten the benefit of cannabis. Look at this, a political candidate saying the word cannabis. Yeah, I told you I ain't scared. It's the truth. This is reality. This ain't play. This ain't something that you see on CNN and people pretending. I am willing to stand for anything that can save the lives of our veterans, because guess what? Those veterans is somebody's son. Those veterans is somebody's daughter. And this touches my heart because, like I said, as the father of 7 children, my oldest, Victor, in 2008, he was killed on his job at 19. So I know what it feels like to lose a child. And so far we got a set of 8,030 parents per year losing sons and daughters when it don't really have to be. So I'm going to say this, and I need for everybody to one more time stand to your feet, please, because we're going to end this the right way. And I'm talking to every last one of you because I'm seeing your faces right now. I want to say to every single veteran who has served, thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your sacrifice of seeing the unimaginable and coming home and still maintaining a family. I want to say to the spouse of every veteran out here, thank you for your sacrifice, for still willing to stand with your husband or your wife when you know they got some issues going on, and you deal with it, and you still hold them tight and hold them close no matter what is going on. No matter how much hell being raised, you are still standing for your spouse. Thank you to the children of veterans. When you're seeing daddy not quite right, when you're seeing mama not quite right, and you are praying, and you are bringing them their food, and you are bringing them everything they need and telling them, Mom, Dad, you are loved. Thank you for that sacrifice. And thank you to all the siblings and the friends of veterans. When you are seeing them suffer, you stand in the gap for them, because true brotherhood and sisterhood and fellowship is not about when it's easy. It's about when it's hard, and standing up for people who have stood for this country and gave the ultimate sacrifice and were willing to do it again as they go on tour after tour after tour and willing to make that ultimate sacrifice. So I will tell you this, as a person that's running for Congress, I want to fight for families. I don't care about the foolishness. I don't care about the garbage. I don't care about the politics. I don't care about people clout chasing and trying to do whatever. I don't care about none of this stuff. I want people to be safe. I want people's lives to be saved. And I don't want any other parent, any other father to look in the casket and see their child. That is the greatest pain any parent can feel. And that's why I fight. And that's why I ain't scared. And that's why I'll put God first to protect this country and to protect the ones who protect this country. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Amen.
So we're going to take this back to God. If you please bow your heads. Father, we coming back to your throne of grace and mercy. I know this may not have been the speech that some wanted to hear. But Father, it is what needed to be said. We need more people to stand up and fight for what's right, because, you, like I said, you brought us together, all of your children right now, in this very special time. And a lot of folks are scared and they've lost their hope, they've lost their faith because of fear and anxiety of being doxxed or being counseled or their business is destroyed. But we all know once you stand for God and this country, you will be attacked. You will lose things. You may lose money, and some of us may even lose our lives, but we know, Father, we have that faith. If we do, we wake up in paradise and all we want to hear is, well done, good and faithful servant. And we thank you, and we love you, and we appreciate you. Now before we say amen, open your eyes. Because when these attacks come, when, not if, when they come, this is your support system right here. You need to connect with the people that are here. Connect with other folks that love God in this country just as much as you. Because when it comes, you will be ready, and you will be victorious. Because like I said, this is not the time for fear. You need to pick up your faith and put down your fear. Because the fight right now is here. And we are on the right side. And if God has already told us these days will come, then He has already prepared us to stand our ground. I love you. I appreciate you. God bless you. Let's move forward in all peaceful ways. But let's continue to stay focused on doing what we need to do for our country, for our veterans, and for our families. My name is YG Nightstorm. If you want to get in touch with me, you go to YG, 2 letters, or Y and a G for Congress.com. I'll be more than happy to talk and give you my information. But I am so proud to stand with you today. God bless you and everybody you hold dear. God bless you all.
Thank you, YG, man. That was great. Appreciate it. So we're going to take just a minute or so break while the beautifully talented Aviva of Aviva and the Flying Penguins comes up and gets set up and play you a little song for you. So if you got to go to the bathroom, do it now.
And in this corner we have Aviva and her flying ukulele.
Aleph Life, everyone. Greetings. Aleph Life is a word I made up. It means I live life as you live life. I honor your deepest creation in this life. And I encourage you to love yourself and be yourself for the highest good. I just want to start by thanking James and all the veterans and Golden Drops Cafe for having us here today. Alila, who might sing us a song later if I come up here again. And Victor and Juan. This is my home away from home. Yes? Someone lost an earring. This is my home away from home. I'm here every Saturday from 3 to 5. They basically welcomed me into this Golden Drops family, and it's a beautiful, beautiful place to be. They care about people so much, and that's why they agreed to do this rally, and we are so lucky to be here today. So feel free to come back and support them every week. 1 second, my mic is full. So before I sing some songs for you, I'm going to take a sip of my green juice. Hold on. I just want to introduce myself, and I want to encourage you to breathe with me. That's better than some drugs. I think people are still settling in, but there's always that break, and then it's hard to get everyone's attention again, you know?
Start singing, they'll jump back.
Everyone loves their freedom. There's a monopoly on our perception of reality. And I want to introduce myself. My name is Aviva Vuvuzela, and like James says, I have a band called Aviva and the Flying Penguins. And I realized when God gave me the gift of music when I was a little girl, that music cuts through the BS. And I'm not talking about what you think BS means. I'm talking about the belief systems. BS, the belief systems that we are all addicted to, in a sense. And so, there's a monopoly on the perception of our reality. And so I feel way more easily to communicate with people when I play music, because then I can cut through their BS. I can cut through their belief system. And so, I was just doing music, minding my own BS years ago, and I decided to start writing songs about cannabis about 20 years ago. And then I got pulled into politics, in a sense. And so I organized the Georgia Hemp Economic Revival Organization because some people were listening to my song Cannabis Car, and they said, well, why don't you try changing the law? I said, I am. I'm changing people's belief systems. I'm going around, I'm singing this song, I'm cutting through the shame, I'm cutting through the stigma, And I'm singing about how you can use cannabis for fuel. You can use hemp seeds, hemp protein powder, hemp shampoo, which was under attack at one point. It was threatened. Thanks to our friends Dr. Bronner's and some others, we have the freedom to at least use industrial hemp, but not grow it here in an easy way. We finally can. We have the victory. We can finally grow hemp. But hemp is one plant. It is cannabis. And so there's still this BS, this belief system that part of cannabis is good, part of it is dangerous, part of it is bad, and it's all a bunch of BS. There's a monopoly on the perception of our reality. But we can change the world not only by rallies like this and by talking to the legislators, which is a pretty grueling process, and I don't wish it on anyone, but through simply changing our perception of reality. From simply changing thinking that something is being done to you to thinking I'm creating this reality right now. I actually am a creator. So cut through the shame, cut through the fear, because I can create this. It might take 20 years, but I can create this by myself. And then when I include the vibrations of everyone around me, we're creating it together so much more powerfully because we're all shifting the perception of reality. And the universe accommodates our perception of reality, that 30% that someone was talking about. So this song is about how you can change the world, not only by the things you do, but by the things you feel. Because God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, it puts feelings in us. And when we feel really good about something, the universe is like, okay, I hear you. That's a vote. That's a ballot in the box. We're going to make this happen for you. We're gonna make, you know what we're gonna make happen? All of us growing our own cannabis in our own gardens, because until we can do that, the fight is not over. Cannabis is a vegetable. Cannabis is a medicine. And years ago, you know what happened? They gathered up all the medicine women and the medicine men, and they called them witches. And you know, one of the industries that was behind that is the sugar industry. It's a tricky thing. This monopoly on our perception of reality. Oh, how fun! Let's get a bunch of kids to dress up like evil witches and give them free candy. That just happened. That's a vote. We voted for that because it's fun, right? You know what's really fun? Plant medicine. And I'm not talking about just cannabis. Psychedelic mushrooms are so good for our veterans right now. One of the only thing that can pull them out of some of the depression they're going through, some of the repeated memories that they can't get out, the pattern. So we're changing that right now. That access. Because we're voting for it with our hearts. How are you gonna change the world? Are you gonna be the change? Or are you gonna wait for change to rearrange you? How are you gonna change the world? Are you gonna be the change? Or are you gonna wait for change to rearrange you? How are you gonna change the world? Are you gonna be the change? Or are you gonna wait for change to rearrange you? How are you gonna change the world? Are you gonna be the change? I'm not complacent, adjacent to a man, patiently erasing me and raising me. Oh, we erase, that's free. Planetary times of chase with planetary changes. Are you with me when I say I see potentially? We're here on heaven. How you gonna change the world? Are you gonna be the change? Or are you gonna wait for change to rearrange you? How you gonna change the world? Are you gonna be the change? Or are you gonna wait for change to rearrange you? How you gonna change the world? Are you gonna be the change? Or are you gonna wait for change to rearrange you? How you gonna change the world? Are you gonna be the change? I'm feeling antsy. You glance at me, I trance away. Our grieving isn't meeting, it's just fearing what you'll take away, but I live life as you live life. I honor your deepest creation in this life, and I encourage you to love yourself and be yourself for the highest good. On the 5, how are you gonna change the world? Are you gonna be the change? How are you gonna change the world? Are you gonna be the change? Or are you gonna wait for change to rearrange you? How are you gonna change the world? Are you gonna be the change? Or are you gonna wait for change to rearrange you? How are you gonna change the world? Are you gonna be the change? I'm gonna say a verse for the universe, so she can see her stars, so she can see you glow. Let's say a verse for the universe. We're gonna sing a verse for the universe, so she can see her stars, so she can see you glow. Just one word, one verse. As we traverse the space, rehearsing might reverse in this version, aversion to light. Let's all sing together. F-R-E-E. Free. Don't be scared of your voice sounding weird. Free. Feel it vibrate in every cell of your body. The word. Free. Because you are free. Change the world? Are you gonna be the change, or are you gonna wait for change to rearrange you? How you gonna change the world? Are you gonna be the change, or are you gonna wait for change to rearrange you? How you gonna change the world? I can't hear you. Are you gonna be the change? How you gonna change the world? Do you know that you're beautiful? Do you know that you're powerful? Do you know that you're capable? Do you know that you're absolutely free? There's a monopoly on the perception of reality that you're not, but you actually are free. And a lot of people have fought for that, ironically. So, thank you. Thank you. We're also free to pray. Cannabis is a sacrament. A lot of plants are sacraments. Herbs are sacraments. Dandelion root is a sacrament. And even because of the monopoly of our perception of reality, even herbal medicine is full of quacks, right? We have to stand up for that. We can hear it. We can hear people talking about it, and we have to have the courage to say, no, that's not true. It has helped my sister, it has helped my brother, it has helped my mother. You don't have to rely on you don't have to be dependent on the medical industry. You don't have to listen just because this is the hook. Health insurance covers it. Well, just because it doesn't cover you taking a deep breath right now, doesn't mean that you don't have the choice to do what's healthy for you. One of the loopholes is that the Supreme Court did rule that you can use any sacrament legally if it's for religious purposes. If we open up cannabis churches everywhere, we have the right to grow cannabis in our own gardens because it is what God gave us. Right now, there's a huge case going on with Adam DeArmond. He's a Native American medicine man who has been persecuted. You can look it up. he is in the midst of a case where if he wins this case, it will allow cannabis churches everywhere. So we all need to get behind him and create this movement of religious cannabis because it's moving way too slowly. The veterans need it now. And cannabis religion is allowed right now. We can shift this perception of reality and create that together. I believe in us. So this next song is actually a prayer. It's called My Sacred Agreement. Because we make agreements, like I said, with our feelings, with our thoughts, and with our actions. So sometimes we need to take a step back and actually verbalize those agreements out loud because so much, we've been stimulated so much by all of these other agreements that it's hard to get them, it's hard to cut through the BS. But prayer does it. So I have one extra copy if anyone wants to take it. The words might have changed a little bit. I'll need it back. But if anyone wants to try to sing along. Otherwise, please consider this a moment of prayer. You can always hum along. Because to be honest, I have felt a lot of shame just singing about cannabis fuel. Because of the perception of reality that I'm a weirdo. I must be a pothead. And I don't even smoke that much. But there's been times in my life when I've religiously not smoked. Because people thought I was infiltrating the cannabis movement. They thought I was a spy. But I promise I'm not. I make an outstanding agreement to honor and respect cannabis as a plant for food, free to be planted, harvested and processed by all. The more of us who focus on this song, I believe the quicker we can change reality. Not that I want your attention, but I break any past contract known and unbeknownst to me that has taken away my freedoms and security. By but not limited to being punished, shamed, lied to, neglected, shocked, blocked, or manipulated in regards to my personal relationship with and awareness of the cannabis plant. I am committed to spreading education about the many uses of cannabis, from fuel to paper, of biomedicine, technology, and ceremony. I believe we all stand and work together to reveal the truth about cannabis and help each other heal. The great deception, lies, punishment and withholding of information that has affected the quality of our health and prosperity, relationships, communications, and camaraderie. My healthy, prosperous life deserves honor and devotion, and I honor my life. And it is my choice to use cannabis if it can contribute to and sustain this. I release any and all shame and fear if it's connected to this belief. I agree to honor my beliefs and acknowledge new agreements for the support and protection of our basic human rights. In regard to protecting and caring for ourselves, others, Earth, and Earth's resources, I further agree to and believe that it is my right and any human's right to grow cannabis in a personal garden, family and or industrial park. All suppression in the form of laws or otherwise that is out of agreement with this new contract is in violation of our beliefs, and it is my responsibility to make sure there's relief. And this is hurt far away until total liberation is achieved. Ooh, ooh, this is my sacred agreement and commitment, and I see that it is good. Thank you so much. I have one more song.
Stay to take it down. Well, you'll be there in spirit. Yes, be careful. Send your husband our love.
All right, this is my last song. And this is on, you can find all of my music on Bandcamp. If you want to keep saying these prayers, it's avivaandtheflyingpenguins.bandcamp.com. I put an album together called Raw Hemp Jelly, and so it's got all the Cannabis songs on it. This is actually a song that James wrote with me. You might not know he's actually a singer. He kind of keeps that under the wraps. But we went as a group to check out the Tennessee hemp maze before it was legal here in Georgia. And he conceived of the whole concept of this song, and we wrote it on the way together. So you're invited to sing it with me, James. We've got a mic for you over there. Lost in this maze of existence, we're trying to find our way, grieving about time wasting away everything. Hoping each turn brings us closer, pointing us out of this trap. But we won't know until we get there. Oh, if we just had a map. 'Cause there is no clear direction. It's messing with our perception. Wanting to get out but pull deeper in, circling back to where we began. There is no clear direction. Feeling around with frustration. Wanting to get out but pull deeper in. One of these paths is bound for the wind. But we don't have to go anywhere else. We can just stay right here. And if we look at the walls around us, the answer is very clear. The answer's in the walls, yeah. Growing so tall, yeah. It's for us all, yeah. There's so much that hemp can do. The answer's in the walls, yeah. Growing so tall, yeah. It's for us all, yeah. There's so much that hemp can do. Come on. Hemp is all around us. Hemp is here to save us. We're not stuck in a maze anymore. Hemp's here to embrace us. I think James needs a little peer pressure to get up there. At least the chorus, you know? Good. Just in front of our foggy eyes, there's lots of vape, lots of hot air filled with lies. If we're looking around, but so narrow, and It's not only just this rat race, but if we change the way we look at what we see, it's no longer a maze, but amazingly a plant that sets us free and changes our perception of reality. Because there is no clear direction, that's right. Feeling around with frustration, wanting to get out the pull deeper in. One of these paths is bound for the wind. There is no clear direction, messing with my perception, wanting to get out the pull deeper in, circling back to where we began. But we don't have to go anywhere else. We just stay right here. And if we look at the walls around us, the answer is very clear. Come on, James, the answer's in the walls. Yeah, microphone. Wait for door. Yeah, it's for us all next year. Yeah, there's so much that hemp can do. The answer's in the walls. Yeah, growing so tall. Yeah, it's for us all. Yeah, there's so much that we can do. 'Cause hemp is all around us. Hemp is here to save us. We're not stuck in a maze anymore. Hemp's here to amaze us. All we see is all around us. We're not lost at all. Hemp is here, we love cannabis industrial. Yeah. All we see is all around us. We're not lost at all. Hemp is here, we love cannabis industrial. The answer's in the world, yeah. Growing so tall, yeah. It's for us all, yeah. There's so much that hemp can do. The answer's in the wall, yeah. Growing so tall, yeah. It's for us all, yeah. There's so much that hemp can do. Everybody, hemp is all around us. Hemp is here to save us. We're not stuck in a maze anymore. Hemp's here to embrace us. One more time. Hemp is all around us. Hemp is here to save us. Sounding good. We're not stuck in a maze anymore. Hemp's here to embrace us.
Thank you, Aviva.
Thank you to all the veterans here for your service and for the sacrifice you've made to your lives and the lives of your family just in your service. My name is Fred Swan. I am running to be Georgia's next Agriculture Commissioner. And that right there, cannabis.
Cannabis!
It's such an issue that's, I don't know how to say it. Basically, it divides people, but it also unites us across these political boundaries. I mean, James and I, we work together on cannabis. Ted and I were from different parties, but we're friends, and we definitely agree, at least on this. We disagree on many other things. On cannabis, we agree. There was a Republican candidate here. I'm running as a Democrat. And this is an area where we can actually have some bipartisan, post-partisan agreement across the board is on cannabis. And that's what I'm fighting for. One of the things in my campaign that I talk about all the time is that the issues in the Department of Agriculture are not left and right, they're right and wrong.
Amen.
Because let's put it this way, everybody needs to eat. Everybody needs clothes that they wear. Agriculture is Georgia's #1 industry. So you tell me
why Georgia's #1 industry cannot also be responsible for providing medicine to our communities, providing food to our communities, providing
There's corruption.
clothes to our community, for providing paper to our community. One of the things that I talk about as Democrat is, how many ways in which agriculture touches so many of the things that my party cares about. But let's talk about healthcare. Cannabis is healthcare. So that's why we should be growing it more. We should be growing marijuana and hemp. Those are, yes, legal distinctions and not real distinctions. Because that's all one plant. But we should be growing more hemp, especially because hemp does so many other things. It creates fuel, as Aviva loves to talk about. It creates paper. It creates hemp and clothing. So we're not growing so much cotton. But it's also great for the environment because it's a carbon sequester. Especially if you use hemp for building material, then it's going to suck all that carbon out of the air, and then it's going to store it in that building material for maybe 50 years. So then you are helping reverse greenhouse gas emissions, climate change just by growing your own medicine, growing your own food, growing your own clothes. But also, it's a really great what they call phytoremediator. And all that means is a plant that heals soil. And that's what it does. It can actually pull heavy metals and toxins out of the soil. They're actually testing it right now to see if they can actually use it to clean up these Superfund sites because it can pull out heavy metals like copper and cadmium and a few other things and store it in the leaves. Now, obviously, you can't eat it, you can't wear it, but maybe we can use that for building materials. Maybe we can use that for paper, especially wrapping paper. We're approaching the holiday season, so why can't we wrap our gifts in biodegradable, renewable hemp wrapping paper? And in Georgia, why aren't we processing more hemp? The reason is because the laws here in Georgia are so restrictive. And I've been lobbying for a long time, ever since the 2018 Farm Act was passed in Congress and descheduled hemp and sent it down to the states. Well, each state's supposed to create their own regulatory regime. Well, the one in Georgia, pardon my language, it sucks. It really, really sucks. Let me tell you something about being a processor. Let's say you want to be a processor here in Georgia. You have to pay a $25,000 per year permit fee in order to be a processor. Aviva did an interview with the Florida director of Cannabis. And when she told her that, she was like, how can anybody stay in business? And I'm like, yeah, guess what? We only have 9 processors in the entire state. And it's not because they're necessarily walling people off and saying you're not allowed to. They're creating an artificial barrier of this fee so that only the big guys can get in. Meanwhile, in places like Florida, the fee is $600. I heard in North Carolina, it's $200 to grow, process, and retail for 2 years. But here's $25,000. Here's another crazy thing that our current hemp laws state. Currently, right now, you cannot get a license to grow. You need a license to grow, first of all. I don't need a license to grow mushrooms. I grow mushrooms. I don't need a license to grow mushrooms, but you need a license to grow hemp, first of all. You cannot get a license to grow or a permit to process if you have a misdemeanor drug conviction in your history. Not even a felony. That's not even like you're trafficking. Like you literally got caught on the corner with a dime. That's it. You did that when you were 19. You paid your debt to society, which shouldn't have been a debt to society. We'll get into that. And then now you want to start a business and raise your family in a community where you're actually going to help your community, and you can't even do that because they say it's a misdemeanor drug conviction. So guys, there's a lot that's wrong with our current hemp laws. There's a lot that's wrong with the fact that the marijuana prohibition is wrong. The fact that the only THC you can have is low THC oil is wrong. The fact that so few companies are even allowed to do the low THC oil growing and processing is wrong. The fact that those permits were doled out behind closed doors and nobody knows how those decisions were made, although we know as a bunch of good old boys stuff. It's one of those things, I don't have any proof, but I know that it was the good old boy system added again. And this isn't some highbrow conversation about rights and the Constitution. This is literally just, these guys are in a room and they pass a bill and that's it. And we need more people like you to stand up and tell them, no, you're not going to take this from me. And there are ways in which we can do that. First of all, obviously, supporting pro-cannabis candidates. Please visit fredforgeorgia.com and facebook.com/fredforgeorgia. But also, right now, the General Assembly is in special session for the redistricting maps, which is a total fiasco in and of itself. But then in January, they're going to be back in regular session. And I happen to know that the hemp bill is going to be opened back up, at least in the Senate. So that means that there's going to be hearing, or at least a hearing in the Senate Ag Committee meeting. Guess what? Those are public. You can just go to those. And they have public comment. If you go early, you sign up, and then you stay at the podium. You tell them why the law needs to be changed. And if they have enough of us, then they start to get scared. Because that's been the problem. I've been in that room. It's a few of us. We're very passionate. And they're like, yeah. Fine. I'll tell you what, when they get some South Georgia farmers in there who are saying, my family's been farming for generations, and I can't grow hemp with these laws. I've got a cotton gin that I've been running, but I can't process hemp with these laws. I can't stay in business. That's when they start getting a little nervous. When they get a bunch of people like you who are just passionate but everyday people who stand up and say, you know, I didn't invite you to do this. I want there to be more free grow. I want hemp. Why isn't hemp like any other crop? I can grow tomatoes in my backyard. I can also start a tomato farm. I should be able to grow hemp in my backyard. I should be able to start a hemp farm. What's the difference? And let's talk about marijuana and THC. I should be able to grow that in my backyard and start a marijuana farm.
Amen.
Because it's medicine. But guess what? Even if it wasn't medicine, even if the people just want to get high because they like being high, guess what? They should be able to do that too. Because if I can go in Golden Drops right now and get a shot of courage with my coffee. Perfectly legal, perfectly fine. Nobody says a word about it. But if I want to just light up right here and there's law enforcement around, I'd be in trouble. That's not right. And I'm sorry, but somebody needs to say it.
It ain't right.
We can change the laws if we organize and if we work together and if we start telling our friends that we are passionate about this and tell them why and give them good reason why. It is about healthcare. It is about being able to have a better environment. It is about self-determination for communities, especially communities in South Georgia, where they could be growing tons of cannabis and using that as a cash crop to revitalize communities where there's currently a rural brain drain. We could actually use this crop to revitalize rural communities. We could see a rural renaissance, and it could start with cannabis. If we'll just get out of the way and get, I bet it's looking at this, get government out of the way. Right? And this is from a Democrat. I'm saying this is a place where we can have common ground on this issue. There is no reason for political differences to divide us. Now, this is a political issue. You've got to make laws about it. And honestly, when you've got the pharmaceutical industry padding folks' wallets, when you've got, honestly, the alcohol industry padding people's wallets because they don't want to compete with different intoxicants,
Private prisons.
when you've got the private prison complex padding people's wallets because they want to send more people to jail,
Yes.
that's part of the reason why the misdemeanor is there. Yeah. When you've got all these people padding all of these pockets, suddenly the interests of us gets drowned out. And that's why we have to keep telling our truth. Because honestly, I was talking with a hemp farmer in Colquitt County. And you know, I'm glad. Great, hemp farmer in Colquitt County. That's what we need more of. And she's telling me what a hard time the community is giving her over her hemp plant because they're so worried about the green scare and whatnot. Which means we've got to start changing hearts and minds, not just at the Capitol and not just at the ballot box, but also, just like it's been pointed out, with each other. And start having people to understand that this is just another plant. But part of that is going to be, again, all of us individually reaching out and having difficult conversations with people who may not want to hear it. And that's the sad fact of it. But we can have the courage where we work with each other. We prop up those businesses that are using cannabis to help their communities and save lives and save the planet. We can prop up those political candidates who have the courage to stand up and say no to the prohibition when in some areas it's going to be very unpopular for them. And we can have the courage to reach out to our friends and family and neighbors and tell them we need change, we need it now, and we no longer have the luxury of waiting. I know you guys have been listening to a lot of speeches today, and I do want to talk a little bit about veterans before I go. I believe that cannabis is a medicine that can be helpful for veterans, for PTSD, depression, anxiety, but also those who haven't served, who still have those mental illnesses. I'd rather see them use THC and psilocybin rather than taking drugs from the pharmaceutical industry with all their side effects and horrible physiological addictions. But I'd also like to see Georgia working to help more veterans get into agriculture. Agriculture can be an occupational therapy for many veterans suffering from PTSD and from depression. It's honestly, other than the stress of having to go to the market all the time, you know, with your crops, it's a very peaceful way of life. And it's not easy to get into farming. I'll go ahead and tell you right now, having myself having done it, it's not easy. And I think that we should have leaders who want to break down the barriers that exist so that people can live the kind of lives they want to. I want to see Georgia work to make more communities friendlier to farming, more communities friendlier to growing themselves instead of everybody rushing to Atlanta for opportunity. I want to see opportunity in Colquitt, in Cairo, in Clayton, and in other places. And agriculture can do that. Agriculture is Georgia's #1 industry. And I'll say that over and over and over again because people will say it like they're proud, and they should be, but also we should be ashamed because we're not using it to its fullest extent. Not enough people have access to this industry because they are boxed out by the big ag, industrial ag conglomerate. And a lot of that is from regulations within the Department of Agriculture, which I can eliminate with a stroke of a pen and get the department out of people's way. And hey, you know what? Maybe help some people. Wouldn't that be quite a thought? But we can get veterans into farming. We can make it an actual program where we're trying to help them both reintegrate into their society and find their place within their community. We know the problem. We just have to have the political will to stand up and finally say it's not right that so many people are kept out of this industry. It is not right that we don't have enough veteran farmers growing hemp, growing marijuana, creating their own medicine, being a part of their own communities. And it's not right that a few people with a lot of money have all the say on this issue.
Amen.
But guess what? All I have is people power. So please, again, go to my website, fredforgeorgia.com. Go to my Facebook, facebook.com/FredForGeorgia. Please, Instagram @FredForGeorgia, Twitter @FredForGeorgia. I don't post as often as I should, I'll admit. And let people know that this guy stands up for his community. He's standing up for cannabis.
Because all the legislators pointed the finger at Gary Black.
Yes, they did. They absolutely did. I will make that point. You're absolutely right. When we're in the House and Senate Ag Committee, when we're saying, why are the fees so high, they say,
The Ag Commissioner.
well, the Ag Commissioner says it has to be that high, and so I guess we'll just have to have it that high. That was literally their answer. Like they were like children. The commissioner says it has to be that high, so it has to be that high. Well, guess what? Let's change the commissioner. And let's have someone else. And now what are they going to say? Well, the commissioner says it has to be that high. No, I don't. No, I don't. We can lower it.
I guess that's the end, Fred.
I guess that's my time, folks. But no, seriously, we can change who's in that seat. We can change Georgia with this one seat. I believe in each of you, and I hope that you find your ability to fight for yourselves on this issue. Again, my name is Fred Swan, and I am running to be Georgia's next Agriculture Commissioner. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fred. Good luck in your race. All right, we got two more speakers, guys, so bear with me. I see we have some folks that made it in here recently. Welcome. Thank you, Trinity Hemp Company. Thank you for being here. Okay, up next, we've got a guest speaker that actually came in from out of state. He drove all the way here from South Carolina. He is a U.S. Army veteran with over 40 years of military service, a registered nurse for 28 years, Board of Directors, South Carolina Compassionate Care Alliance, and the Board of Directors for the American Cannabis Nurses Association, Mr. Mike Harvey.
First, I'd like to thank James for inviting me. So, as he said, I'm actually still on active duty. I retired at the end of this month, so I can join you for that first legal 420. Just a little about me, so before I read this short letter. So 3 years ago, I got involved in CBD and as part of my nursing research, and found out that there were actual benefits. So, as an Army nurse, I decided to try CBD to replace my Ambien for sleep, my SSRI for my depression, and a number of other things, including 800 milligrams of Motrin that were frequently given. I was able to get off the Ambien and had this really nice, happy life going until I pissed hot on a urinalysis and ended up going through the legal judicial part for having a hot urinalysis. So let me begin thanking our veterans and our family members who have served our country. My wife is here, so I know that service members' wives and husbands and children are very important. With military service, the risk of physical injuries and chronic diseases is very common. While we are on active duty, we typically have decent health care, and the chronic diseases are very common. But once we get into the VA Healthcare Center, we know that they are over-impacted. We've been, in my 40 years, most of that has been in one conflict or another, or at least, small conflicts. And I served in Desert Shield, Desert Storm, so I'm old as dirt. Our nation was never expecting to have to serve this many veterans for this long with all these conditions. Thus, we are faced with an average of 22 veterans ending their lives each day. As of today, we would place the number of service members that have left us at around 6,930. That's from January 1st. If the numbers hold up. I stand before you not only as a veteran over 40 years, but also as a registered nurse, former VA nurse. I spent 10 years at the bedside. I know that we can provide good health care. Unfortunately, there's not enough nurses, not enough doctors, and Big Pharma is what's running the business. So I mentioned I was on a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor for depression. So people that are on the SSRIs end up having more side effects based on that medication. A lot of men have problems with the ability to perform in bed because of taking the SSRIs. And most of us men don't like that. So thank God we have pot, because pot does help that. I don't know that yet. I'll let you know in 17 days. Interesting enough that we've had SSRIs for 30, 40 years, but there's not been any new SSRIs developed in the last 20 years. The FDA only has 2 FDA-approved selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. So they have these drugs that are not effective, and they're afraid to actually go any further and try cannabis. Veterans are not to be considered a research project. As a veteran, I'm well aware that we have other treatment options, such as cannabis. It's not like cannabis is a new drug without any research behind its use. The Department of Defense utilized our service members as test subjects from the years 1950 to 1975 to determine the safety and treatment of multiple drugs and chemicals during the Edgewood Aberdeen experiments. I had never heard of these experiments until I went on to the VA government page, and they actually talked about how to get your ratings if you were in this group of people. So they used approximately 6,720 service members to test more than 250 chemicals. This is your Agent Orange and your nerve agents and all that good stuff. But interestingly enough, out of this 6,720 service members and the 250 chemicals, cannabinoids, THC, was one of the things that they tested. So if it's so bad, why are we using it to test to find out if it's going to benefit our soldiers in combat? So at the end of this, and to this day, there has been no long-lasting effects from any of the cannabinoids that were given to those patients from the 50s to 75. So my question that I pose to the Department of Veterans Affairs is this. With our service members having utilizing cannabis as test dummies without any negative outcomes, why will the VA not open its doors to research cannabis as an adjunctive or a first-line medicine? We hear on and on that they're willing to, possibly use cannabis, but you first have to try your opiates. You first have to try this drug. So by that time, you may have already gotten addicted, or you now have medical conditions that we're having to fight. As we have seen, the VA's current treatment modalities are not effective, or we would have fewer than 22 veteran deaths based on suicide per day. The federal government and the Department of Veterans Affairs continue to spew the lack of research and the use of cannabis as a legitimate medication. Let's take a quick look at this lack of research, and I won't bore you on this, but are you aware of patent number 6630507, which would have been 2003, where the Department of Health and Human Services has this patent that states that cannabis as an antioxidant and a neuroprotectant. So here we have a drug that the Department of Health and Human Services states may help protect our brains during injury. And are we fucking using it? No, we're not. So we have soldiers with, sorry for the swearing. We have soldiers with TBI, and we are not willing to use cannabis with or without THC to promote a better health. The National Cannabis Science, Engineering, and Medicine, which is a congressional mandated group to research cannabis, has clearly stated that in many cases this is a wonderful drug, that there are very few side effects. Government does not listen to that. If you log into PubMedMD, now you're not going to get the Leaf 411 or any of those, but you're going to see, if you just put in the word cannabis, only the word cannabis, you will have 26,785 peer-reviewed journal articles. So scientists, doctors, nurses, and other people that have gone through and read said, yep, this is valid information. This is not a prop. I thank you for your time. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. I've not spoken in front of groups like this other than soldiers, and they usually listen to me, so I don't have to worry about it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for being here. All right, last but not least, we have a U.S. Army veteran who is also a mother, a wife, a board-certified doctor, a certified medical cannabis health coach, veteran business owner of the Holistic Society, Atlanta, Georgia Academy of Cannabis Science, and the CEO of the Gift of Life Community Home, Inc., Dr. Yolanda Henderson.
I'm honored to be here before y'all. I don't want to hold you all long, but I do have a lot to say and just a little time, so I may speak a little fast. So, as he said, I am a doctor. I'm a medical cannabis health coach, so that is something that we just opened up at the Atlanta, Georgia Academy of Cannabis Science in alliance with the Gift of Life Community Home. The Gift of Life Community Home has taken over the educational piece because, of course, the Atlanta Academy of Cannabis Science, because cannabis is in the name, we can't get business loans. We can't get any of the services that we, as a business, if you go through SBA for business and finance, you know that there's a way that, businesses thrive, right? So we were unable to do the bonding for the educational piece. So what we did was we got smart. We thought about opening up our nonprofit, which was already in existence. We had opened up in 2008. So we are in alliance. If you all can go to our website, that would be great, thegiftoflifecommunityhome.org. In the communities, we help veterans. We help all people, actually. And I'm standing before you all today because I came to Georgia about 3 years ago. 3 years ago, my daughter, I had her 4 years ago, I had my child, and I had a brain injury. This is after I got out of the military. I actually joined during Iraqi freedom. I'm a wartime veteran that actually signed up. I said, okay, here I am. And you know why I did that? Because 9/11 had just happened. 9/11 was when we were told and we saw, we witnessed Twin Towers going down, right? And the people that they say were responsible, we had to give those people back, right? And I was the one that in my family that said, you know what, I want to go, I'm patriotic, I believe that we should fight for our country and for those who lost their lives, right? So that's what I did as a citizen. I believe that was the best thing to do, and I will never take back my choice. That was my choice. And long story short, I got MS. There was a lot of people who got MS. There was a lot of things that were done. I don't want to get into too much details. I actually found out here recently, about 2 years ago, that I have a chemical allergy. And I was in a chemical brigade. I was a 88 Mike. That my job was to go frontline infantry to get supplies to the front line of the war. So I signed up for this. Yes, I did. But long story short, I agreed to it. I did it, and that's what I have done. But I got MS and I was discharged because guess what? I was no service to the country that I believed that I could do. And that gave me a bit of anxiety. It gave me a bit of, defeat and depression. And I suffered from that as well as being told I would never have kids again, being told that I would never walk again. I was wheelchair bound, taking about 20 pills a day for every symptom that I had. From not being able to urinate or not holding my urination, not being able to hold my bowels, not being able to, I had, I can just name about 20 different symptoms that I had. So, getting out and being told that, it was nothing really that they could do, go and wait and take a number like I did in the military and wait. And I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and eventually I was able to be seen at the VA. So my daughter was born, fast forward, 4 years ago. My daughter was born with epilepsy, seizures. So she was diagnosed to be epileptic, and I rolled her into our state capitol because there was a bill on the line. It was House Bill 324, and if you all remember her, she was a little baby. She was pushed in a stroller, and she was, just getting a chance to get CBD oil because of this state here in Georgia. We migrated from Texas. Texas did not have the governmental laws the way Georgia has. So I was thankful for Georgia. I said Georgia is our new home. And plus my husband had gotten his job transferred. So it all worked out. Nevertheless, myself, my daughter, my family, my husband is the reason why I'm here today. And I'm able to talk with you all, not have anxiety, not have the symptoms that I had with the MS, over 30 lesions in my brain and spinal cord. And I'm a naturopathic doctor because natural treatments includes cannabis. I was a nurse. I was going to school. That's why I joined the military. I needed the money to get through nursing school. That was my lifelong goal, was to go to nursing school. So I just wanted you all to know that I want to be able to help veterans and give them a choice and an option, and I believe that they need that. They taught us the Army Corps values, to never accept defeat, to serve the people of the United States of America, and to be a member of a team, okay? Those are the soldiers' creeds. Those are the values that I remember, that I stand for today, and that's why we're all here, because we have a service to this country that they can't take away from me. I want to be able to help educate. Education is the key because we perish for the lack of knowledge. And all of the information, all of the things that are here that they tell us or don't tell us is what we're discovering. The endocannabinoid system. Mr. Metz talked about that earlier. They don't go to school and learn the endocannabinoid system. There's something in the AMA, I just called you out, that does not allow certain types of, situations where we're to be taught about different things that are nutritious for us. The reason why blood pressure and heart disease is the #1 killer. The reason why stressors exist in the world. So I decided to do a holistic way of life. And I believe that every veteran should have that option. Whether you're 1%, 0%, or 100%. Whether you serve 1 minute and signed your name, to serving 20 to 30, 40 years, and you actually retire. I believe that everyone, including children, should have safe access to tested cannabis. Safe cannabis, that we're not wondering where the black market got this cannabis from. Okay, and if it's real cannabis, or is it laced with fentanyl, or if it's, got whatever in it. And the reasons why, we're not told that the medicines that we're going to be holding in a few seconds have all of these bad side effects that are killing us. Liver damage. You know how many people I had to help? I helped reverse liver damage without liver surgery, without having a transplant. And I'm wanting to let you all know that there are options. There is a way of life to be able to reverse these things. things. Now, they're not going to tell us this. They didn't tell us this in nursing school.
And there's many spike protein everywhere.
And exactly, and I don't want to even get into the injections, but I will tell you, I have an injection allergy. I have a chemical allergy. If you don't know if you have a chemical or injection allergy, and you go out and you're taking injections, and they never ever found out that you have these types of things, then you're doing injustice to your body and to your own health. I myself personally found out, again, 3 years ago, I have a machine that I got in naturopathic school that actually does a holistic body scan. It's called the bioquantum and the analyzer. And what we do is we analyze a person's body from head to toe, and it makes recommendations based upon your body versus nutrition. It helps you know your vitamin deficiencies. It helps you to know, because every mineral, every supplement, everything on earth is provided for us for a reason. It just wasn't put here. It was here for a reason. Cannabis is here for a reason. Okay? And so until you go ahead and research and educate yourselves and understand why you're needing this medicine, people like her who's coming up in the future will know and will believe and understand that there is a actual cure. There is an actual way of life that you can take that not only supports the pharmaceutical companies, but the politicians. They can take part of something like this as well, because they are telling people the truth, and that's all we ask for. We just want the truth to be told. And if anyone wants to get a scan, I am over at 820 Highway 138 in Riverdale, Georgia, and I do these scans, and I help veterans, and you guys get a free scan if you want one. It will help you like it has helped me find out that I have a vitamin D deficiency as well, as well as a chemical allergy, and I'm not supposed to be around chemicals, which I was in a chemical brigade in the military. Well, that does not work out as well either, okay? So I just want to also introduce myself. If you all have your phones out, if you all could go to the Holistic Cannabis Show. I am also a media personality, a TV personality, and Instagram social media host. We're on Firestick, Roku, Facebook, and my husband and I, if he can come on up here, please, Mr. Henderson. It's okay, come on. And this man right here is the reason, like I said, why I'm here. He says, you know what, you should try cannabis. And I was like, no, cannabis is bad. You know, we were told growing up that you better not touch that stuff, we're gonna go to hell. And so I found out that I was living in hell without cannabis, because now I smile and, you know, just, I love life. It's like, what was I missing, you know? So I want him to just say a couple of words. And then also, if you can like us on Instagram, follow us on the show, and the Holistic Cannabis Show, we advocate on that show for cannabis. I would love for any and everyone who wants to come on the show. If you have a product, if you want to talk about the one plant, if you want to talk about anything cannabis related, please, please, please come out.
Smoke, eat, drink, and be merry.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Oh, you were just at Lambeau Field. Hold on, honey.
Oh, you was at Lambeau with that?
Yeah. First time ever. It was awesome. Green Bay Packers fan.
Yeah, my dad grew up there, so it was, I've been hearing about it for 40 years, and I finally got to go see it, so it was pretty cool. Thank you, Dr. Henderson. We appreciate you being here as well. Thank you so much. I think we might have one more person that has something real quick they want to say. He is also a U.S. Army veteran. Stephen George, come on up here.
We're going to make this real short. Stephen George, I'm the Region 1 DBHDD Community Crisis Counselor. I cover the northern 33 counties of the state of Georgia. I'm here with some locks on anyone who is at risk or has a family or a loved member, a friend who is at risk of an opioid overdose. Be sure and get with me. Some things just to let you know. Let's see. Politically speaking, there's lots of political appointments available for the DBHDD Regional Advisory Councils. Let's see, we have the Georgia Crisis Access Line, considered the initial entry point for mental health services in the state of Georgia.
Stephen, can you tell us what DBD is?
Okay, the Department of Behavioral Health Developmental Disabilities. No one knows about it unless you have some issues. Very quickly, the NIH and the CDC did a 14-year longitudinal study where they studied states who either fully legalized marijuana or passed comprehensive medical marijuana laws. In those states, in the first year, on average, the opioid death rates dropped by 28.4%, which is a statistically significant number. More strikingly, from year to year after that, the causational relationship increased. The University of Georgia replicated that study. They measured for opioid prescriptions. In that study, on average, opioid prescriptions dropped by, I believe it was 74.8% or 74%. The DBHD, the state of Georgia is currently under supervision by the Department of Justice for Behavioral Health Developmental Disabilities. Two of the unfunded mandates are beds of all kind and access to transportation and wraparound services with regard to the opioid crisis and medical marijuana. The DBHDD's policy is that medical marijuana is not approved for MAT, medicine-assisted therapy. Once that happens, they will review their policy. Having said that, I'd like to invite everyone to the Cobb Crisis Intervention Training Meeting, which will be Friday, November the 19th at 10 a.m. at the new Cobb County Police Academy, which is on the East-West Connector in Austell. The police have a lot of meetings. This is the meeting they want to have, and you've been invited. How awesome is that? So that'll be it. If anyone has someone who's falling between the cracks of the social service delivery system, reach out to me. Maybe we can help. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much. I believe that's everybody on the speaking. Oh,
Except for me.
I'm sorry. I was going to say we're going to take a quick break, and do we have some volunteers that can help carry the casket? We have to have at least 5. Okay, I think we can probably do it then. All right. But before we take a break, I want to hand the microphone over to Melissa Kimmel.
I'm saying she'll submit it. It's for release if you photo. If you don't want to, that's okay too.
Yeah, I think not at this time, but I'd appreciate
Yeah, sorry, you almost forgot about me. But that's still Mrs. Savage Jesus to you.
You're always going to be the last one.
Yeah, so if you want to take a break, we can take a break first, and then I can talk to you.
You're on.
Alright, because I got the mic, so. Sorry, I do move around a lot. Sorry. So this is our 5th Veterans Rally with our 6th Candlelight Vigil. So Corona might have canceled our rally last year, but Jason and I did hold a private vigil on the grounds of the VA. We lit 23 candles and a picture of the coffin. So we were all there in spirit. You guys were all there. We lit those candles to shine a light and show our love and our deep respect to touch a soul. So I'm just so excited that we got to be able to do this again this year. And it's only possible with your support, the support of our sponsors. So thank you guys for coming. So let us pray. May the meditation of my heart and the words that I speak change your soul, touch the lost, and shine some hope. May we release some anger, heal some wounds. Father God, be with us, guide us, and show us the way. Amen. We honor the 22 veterans that commit suicide every day, the official government number. And we all know that that's the wrong number, but that's our government for you. But we represent what the number means. The number represents a veteran, a true American hero. The Hebrew alphabet is made up of 22 letters, which are used to encode the words of God. That's what it takes to be a veteran, either dead or alive. If you want to see what true divine intervention looks like, look into the eyes of a veteran. Per the Department of Defense, active duty suicide rate has hit a record high in 2020. It raised by 28%, the highest since the Pentagon started reporting in 2008. Yeah, they just started recording in 2008. Don't know why it took so long, but at least they are recording. So I just want you to let that sink in for a minute. It is increased by 28% in active duty. So something I want you to really think about, if it's increased that much in active duty, how much is it increased in retired veterans? Don't even get me started on the alcohol and drug overdoses. Could go on. Life is already hard for our veterans, but these past 2 years, our world has been turned upside down, almost unrecognized, in total chaos. From the pandemic, the lockdown, curfews, threat of martial law, isolation, fear and panic on the news 24/7, the lockdown of churches, the election scandal, political uproar, nationwide riots, police brutality, riots at the National's Capitol, 6 Capitol police officers killed, police getting ambushed and killed, the shortage of goods, to the shipping crisis, the economical crisis, the firing of jobs, the losing of jobs, eviction, homelessness, the lines at the food bank, power outages, gas shortages, the crisis at the border, the crisis in Afghanistan. To a president that shows more remorse for a criminal than he did for 13 fallen Marines. To CDC guidelines, mask mandates, vaccine masks, having to show our vaccine cards or our papers for a corona test like I live in Nazi Germany. I might as well just pin a golden star to my chest. To the death rates on the news, to fake panic and fear that is spread on every fake news channel. Jesus Christ, Heavenly Father, fuck, no wonder our veterans are in fucking crisis. It is amazing that any veteran is still alive today. And it's an act of God that none of them has snapped and created mass murder. Jesus. So somebody fucking please hand them a beer and give them a joint. I fucking salute you. You are my heroes. Thank you. Get an amen. Fuck. Amen. Jesus said, I am the way. I am who I am. I am the truth. I will light your path and show you the way. I can heal your broken heart. Bring all your burdens to me and lay them down at the cross. Confess. Release some anger. Heal some wounds. Find some peace. The biblical meaning of falcon is freedom of slavery. To quote the great late Freddie Mercury from Queens, I've paid my dues time after time. I've sing it. I have done my sentence but committed no crime. And I know exactly what everybody needs. To quote the TikTok lady, if you haven't seen that, it's really funny. You all need to snort some lines of mental fucking help. So don't worry, James has got your coffee, I have your beer, Stephen has your naloxone, Jason knows CPR. We got you all covered. We got your 6. So, we all got some fear, anxieties, and deep wounds that we need to heal. Hell, I know I fucking do. So, I got some shit to say. And I got the mic and a platform. So, and I got the ball. So we're going to play some football. And I don't care. Suck it up, buttercups. And put your snowflake feelings aside. Because this is what needs to happen. I need the game clock stopped. I need everybody to put your footballs down. I need you to holster your weapons and put them on safety. Because I've been giving you a proven track record that I know how to play dirty football. But we're not doing that today. Please and thank you. Thank you for your patience and pineapples and champagne. I need you to remove your helmets and take a knee. Because we're about to do some group therapy up in here, and I'm about to tell you some dirty little classified secrets. And if you missed my last speech where I told you some more dirty classified secrets, sucks for you. Guess you were on a need-to-know basis back then. But, except for Stephen George, because he has a medical handicap, so I appreciate that. So, welcome to the game. Take a seat, listen up, and stay in your lane. Because I'm going to release some anger and heal some wounds. NASA and the NFL knew I was a loose cannon. A girl that has a bad mouth and always has to have the last word. Plus, I can't shut the fuck up to save my own life. So, they knew that when they released me back into general population. So it really sounds like a really bad design flaw on NASA's part if you ask me, so I blame them. Don't worry about me, because I have a presidential pardon and an NFL contract signed in blood. My code name is Falcon 22. I'm a NASA super soldier, a true trained killer, and I am absolutely terrified of myself. To be honest with you, I'm terrified of my dog too, because I'm not really sure what she is or what she knows how to do. I'm a classified soldier that, according to the United States military, does not exist. And you're sure as hell right, I got a red phone line and I know how to use it. But I don't even have to dial a number. I can just use my superpowers to connect to them. My channel is B103.22. My code words are pineapples and champagne, and they mean I love you more, and I'll drink you. Remember that. I'm a 5-star general in the United States Army, a medical specialist with Marine and Air Force training and intel. I'm a 5-star general that needs a babysitter, an army of angels, and every special forces team. I'm a 5-star general that doesn't know where she's going, where she is most of the time, but I can do a trust-building mission in record time. I'm a 5-star general that after all these years and all these missions still need NASA to prove to me that they exist. NASA and I have a love-hate relationship. After all these years, I still need my husbands, Stephen Furtick, Derek Taylor, and Jason Kimball, to prove they exist, that they're still there, and they'll always show up. A 5-star general that after all this time needs B103, the NFL, and Angels to prove they exist and they can hear me. A 5-star general with brain damage and a permanent 1013 for everyone's protection. Someone who needs to process information over and over again a million times. No telling how many times we've processed this moment in time. A 5-star general that needs a fucking army, a village, NASA, the NFL, B103, Angels, and tons of drugs, trillions of dollars to keep me alive and processing, not to mention the trillions of dollars in medical and military training. I'm a 5-star general that needs NASA to medicate me all the time, and I mean all the time, just so I don't melt down brain sensor. No telling how many times I've been in a medically induced coma. After all these years, NASA has my medication stamped to an art form. And you guys should all be jealous because I got a better drug dealer than you. Because I've had more psychedelics than the Grateful Dead put together. It's kind of ironic. I'm so anti-vaccines and anti-pharmaceuticals, but I know it's taken a boatload of everything known to man to keep me alive and processing. And you're damn right, the United States military holds all the patents. I'm extremely grateful to God, NASA, the NFL, my husband's, and B103, and all my angels, that I'm still alive. God said a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like a day. That's what time feels like to me. Like sand slipping through an hourglass in the Alice in Wonderland. I'm a 5-star general that really doesn't know who the President of the United States is. Only know who he is if it's really what year I think it is. And I'm 90% positive it's not. Hell, some days I even wonder if this country even has a fucking president. And I can sure as hell tell you the withdrawal of Afghanistan and the crisis over there sure wasn't handled by any United States president that I respect or represent. And I guarantee you that we lost more than 22 veterans that day. It is a sad day indeed. Don't even get me started on the trillions and trillions of dollars worth of equipment that we left behind. It's a disgrace. And if we really had a strong fucking American president, we'd handle our fucking crisis at the border. And we would lock this fucking country down. It needs to happen immediately until our millions of veterans get adequate health care, that our 100,000 homeless veterans are taken care of, until our veteran suicide is handled in this fucking country. Lock it down. It is simple that we have a country that takes better care of our illegal aliens than they do our fucking veterans. And it is fucking simple. And every one of you motherfuckers should be ashamed of yourselves. Fucking past president, future president, every fucking one of you should be fucking ashamed of yourself. And you call yourself a United States president. Fuck you, motherfuckers.
Amen.
Right.
I'm a fucking walking medical miracle. A true testament to what our military and God can do. And I'm amazed we've made it this far. But I am about to have a fucking nuclear meltdown. Hell, I'm more homicidal than suicidal. I'm so on the verge of fucking homicide. I could crack it any second. And I'm gonna let you in on some more dirty little secrets. Some more southern little secrets nobody else gonna tell you. So, Billy Graham is gonna roll over in his grave, and some old little Southern Baptist bells are gonna faint. And my husband, Stephen Furtick, the greatest, most anointed pastor, second to me, of course, his heart's gonna stop. But I don't really care, so I'm going to tell you anyways. Unlike popular Southern preaching, suicide is not always the devil's work. It's not always a sin. No, big dog, don't go misquoting me. I'm not promoting suicide by any means. But for some people, their lives and death are already planned out by God. And yes, that does include death by suicide. But let me tell you something I know about every veteran that's killed themselves. They have spent a lot of time talking with God and a lot of time talking to the devil. And God answered their prayers. They let the torture end. Sometimes it takes more courage to die than it does to live. And everybody forgets that even Satan performs miracles too. I know, bless my little heart. My husband just fell out of his chair, but I don't care. It needed to be said, and I don't apologize because somebody needed to hear that. I've been clinically dead several times. I've met God. I have met Satan. I've spent time in all three heavens and all three hells. But heaven or hell, it's all the same. Because I'm going to tell you something else no other pastor in this world is going to tell you. But Jesus Christ, God the Almighty, and the Holy Spirit spend time in heaven and in hell. Because you can't have God without Satan. You can't have heaven without hell. You can't have good without evil. Hell, savage Jesus will roll out the red carpet for you. He'll hand you a beer and smoke a joint with you while he gives you a tour. He'll tell you all his darkest secrets and introduce you to all his pet demons because he knows them by name. And don't tell me for a split second that those 22 veterans that killed themselves every day aren't in heaven right now. Don't tell me they're sinners and they can't be buried in your fucking cemeteries. Y'all need to stop tripping. Like I said, I'm a NASA super soldier, a walking miracle. I'm a 5-star general that doesn't truly feel like a soldier. One that feels so guilty that I'm alive. Feels guilt to my soul that I'm a better soldier than you, and I outrank you. A 5-star general that in my heart feels inadequate against other soldiers. I'm not a soldier because of glorious or humble reasons. I'm just a girl that was extremely near to death, physically, mentally, and spiritually. That fell in love with 3 amazing guys that knew only the military could save me. And all I had to simply do was ask if I could borrow their boats, borrow their military, and borrow their NFL teams. So no matter what anyone thinks, it was never about me. It was always about the mission. God, veterans, mental illness, addiction, and football. See, sometimes the military learns several things from several different people. And I'm only in the military because my husband and top-ranking pastors in this great country knew several presidents. I received presidential medical treatment. I have the best, most intelligent, top-ranking NASA scientists and doctors known to man. Yes, I have fought my way, and I've earned my rank. I've earned my stars. I am who I am. I am what the United States military and the NFL made me. I've earned my spot on the team, but it doesn't feel the same to me. I don't feel like it matches your 6 tour duties or your 25 years of service that you've given. The real battles you have fought, the nightmares you have survived. Sure, I've been deployed several times, but I'm not really the soldier that can be dropped off in any war zone. I have to go to the most safest green zone the military knows, and I can only train with friendly fire. The military has invested too much time, energy, knowledge, intel, not to about the trillions of dollars spent on me. I'm too valuable to just be like any other soldier. So to every soldier, please forgive me. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart that you allowed me to join your ranks. I promise I will never give up, and I will always rise up. I'm an MVP NFL player. I've earned my jersey, and it doesn't matter which one I wear. And I'm convinced they're all made out of Kevlar. I'm a Falcons and Saints player for life, but I'll always be Baby Falcon first. I have the Falcons logo branded and tattooed on my purple cord, and I know if you stick me in the right place, I bleed red and black. I've made so many plays, fumbles, played so many games, and won several Super Bowl rings. You can ask yourself, why the football? And that's simple, because football players are exceptional athletes with almost superhuman abilities. No one truly understands their bodies, what their brains go through out there on the field. The amount of information our government and our military can learn from these players is endless. The amount of force that their bodies and their brains go through, sometimes some of these tackles are the equivalent to a small roadside bombing. So yes, these players are very crucial, because the more we can learn from them, the more we can learn from our veterans. If we can get them better helmets, we can get our veterans better helmets. And I needed a game. I needed something to play, something to achieve. It takes grit, strength, and anger to stay in the game. Not to mention, that's how I relearned numbers, relearned to count. It's great eye-hand coordination and amazing physical therapy. I can't tell you the countless hours I spent in the gym training with Matt Ryans, Julio Jones, Aaron Rodgers, and Jameis Winston. And I need to get back in the gym. NASA and NFL, I need a new trainer. I need a new gym husband. And are you kidding me, Maddie and Julio? Man, I knew you guys had more brain damage than me. But of course I have a football husband. And I know what number to call, and I know what name to ask for when I dial that red phone line. And I don't fucking apologize for dialing it. And I will dial it. I might have brain damage, but everybody knows that even I know there's a hell of a lot of crying in football. Because every breath is a yard, every heartbeat is a first and 10. Every step is a goal. Every mission is a touchdown. And every memory remembered is a Super Bowl win. But as much as the NFL has done for me and the sacrifices they have made, we also have a love-hate relationship, and I've got some fucking things to say to them. First off, Falcons, y'all need to quit giving everybody a heart attack. It is painful to watch your games. And I don't know what goes on with y'all in the locker rooms at halftime. I can't figure it out, but y'all come back and forget you're playing football. And where the hell is my gold and diamond veterans pin? And all my salute service jerseys and hoodies. And don't even get me started with Blank. Arthur Blank, you really need to explain yourself why there isn't an American flag flying in the backyard at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I don't know how many times I've asked you, I don't know how many times you've talked about this, but there's no excuse, and I want my fucking American flag. And if you really cared about this baby Falcon, you have the American flag, plus a flag for every 6 divisions of the United States military. And yes, there are 6. Don't forget about fucking Space Force, because they're new. Don't forget about them. I want my flag. And no, Matty Ice, I don't know the fucking name. The new head coach. That's a stupid question. But I agreed with the firing of Dan Quinn, and if you don't get your shit together, you're next. So, let me yell at New Orleans Saints too, because I fucking hate them too. They tackle almost as hard as the Falcons do. No, motherfuckers, I'm not sorry that it took me almost 2 years to process that I got traded to the Saints. And why the hell I didn't get flowers, cards, and a salute service and a 24-karat diamond veterans pin delivered to my house that day, I don't know. Something's wrong with y'all. Fucking who that? Whatever. Don't get me started on your stadium's COVID policy. Stupidest shit ever. I'm not getting your fucking vaccine or showing my card like I'm some Nazi Germany. So fuck you motherfuckers. I ain't coming to your stadium. Don't even get me started. Falcons and the Saints quarterback numbers are both 2. And if you put them side by side, you get the number 22. won in the National Football Conference, so that's right. Go fucking Packers. They don't really play dirty football or tackle me that much, but that doesn't mean I don't have anything to say. So, first and foremost, where the hell's my 24-karat diamond veterans emerald pin? Why didn't I get a Flint Service jersey delivered to my house? And you motherfuckers better, in your stadium's backyard, have a fucking American flag with every 6th division other flags, a Green Bay Packers salute flag, and a waterfall. I ain't talking yet. Yeah, we're wrapping it up. My code name is B103.22. I've said that a million times. The letter D means hooked. The number 1 means God. The 0 means there's 0 times God will lead you. 3 means God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. The number 22 means a veteran. A reminder of the true mission. 22, the most powerful number it's always been. It's always been about veterans and the mission. It's always been about changing the world and changing one veteran's life. To starting a fire and shining light. To be a shining light in darkness. And to be an absolute powerful force behind the United States military. So thank you for never forgetting the mission and the reason we play. And never forgetting to rise up. God, veterans, mental illness, addiction, and football. This past Veterans Day, a United States Marine wrote on his Facebook page, "Do not thank me, do not pray for me, but help me. So please help him." Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to meet over here by the casket, and we're going to do a little procession down to the VA Medical Center and set the casket up, and so come back in about 5 minutes.
guys for being here. It wasn't quite like it was a couple years ago, but trust me, moving forward, we're going to put on a really good practice. We're going to be ready next year. Oh, next time. Play taps. So if you want to play taps. front of the casket, get a picture.